Hey, Kyle is wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's WWE Friday Night Smackdown from July 1st, 2022. And we are 24 hours away, or when it started, it was 24 hours away from the Money in the Bank special event tomorrow night. And we're live from Phoenix, Arizona. I didn't look at Twitter before SmackDown, so I didn't see if any matches were announced beforehand. But what we were told is everyone, men and women that are in the Money in the Bank ladder match, will be there tonight. So, and we also know that one spot remains in the Money in the Bank. So, if you remember on Raw, it was supposed to be Kevin Owens versus Ezekiel, and that didn't happen. And Ezekiel was on the show, but Kevin Owens wasn't, and Kevin Owens wasn't on this show either. So we will resolve that by the end of the show. Some people were wondering if it was going to end up being like maybe they'd have the mystery, maybe it'd be a mystery opponent all the way until tomorrow. Even some people were saying, well, maybe Cody will run out, even if he's hurt, and he can grab the briefcase. But no, that spot does get filled tonight. So we'll get into that. We've got a little bit of news that came out. Let's go through that real quick. Logan Paul signed officially a contract with WWE yesterday. I don't think that means we'll be seeing him featured like every week and stuff like that. I just assume that's for the photo op and all that, so WWE can say, hey, look, we signed Logan Paul and stuff like that. But that does raise the question. I do think like within the next 5 years or so, we're going to see more and more celebrities in matches. We've already got Pat McAfee, if you want to think of him as a celebrity, um, being a go-to person for them to fill out a big stadium show. We've had Bad Bunny in the past, who's showed up multiple times and said he'll show up again. Logan Paul now coming back, so I wouldn't be surprised if in 5-10 years this becomes just WWE just becomes this like celebrity fighting thing where at least at the pay-per-views there's almost always a celebrity fight. But at least we have like Forbidden Door was amazing, so we know there's good wrestling outside of WWE, so we can just enjoy it for the spectacle, I guess. And anyway, Logan Paul's in a non-wrestler with a shady past. Io Shirai looks like she's on her way out without ever making it to SmackDown when SmackDown needs women so badly. Io Shirai looks like the reports are she will not re-sign when her contract ends, I think at the end of the month, and that almost guarantees she will return to Stardom where she's a big star. And that brings up the question: maybe we'll see Io Shirai and Sasha fighting in Stardom. That's where Kyrie Sane went as well. So I definitely do want to get into Stardom, and that'd be a good jumping on point. But yeah, just to quickly before I get into SmackDown, Io Shirai just looked at what happened to all these other women that got called up from NXT. Um, it's been a full year now, almost a full year that Shotzi, Xia Li, and Aaliyah got called up to SmackDown, or at least left NXT. They didn't get called up. There was like a weird month or month and a half period where they had nothing going on, showing up at dark shows or house shows. I mean, dark events. But man, they've had like about 20 matches combined between the three of them since a year ago, and have probably only won like 4 of those. So Io saw the writing on the wall, probably making a good decision. So anyway, like I said, when the show started, we were 24 hours away from Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and we're live from Phoenix, Arizona, and tomorrow we'll be in Las Vegas. So Michael Cole and Pat McAfee greet us to SmackDown. There's a bunch of tall ladders in the ring. On top of the ladders, you've got Drew McIntyre, Riddle, Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins, and Sheamus. And then Omos is standing next to MVP on the ground. And they show us that there's one spot remaining. Seth is the first to talk, so they've all got microphones. So here we go with one of these segments. Seth is the first to talk. He welcomes up the SmackDown. He says we're all on ladders, so you know what that means. McIntyre interrupts when Seth is about to say something like, "Oh, I speak for everybody." And McIntyre's like, "Oh, you don't speak for me." And Riddle's like, "Yeah, I agree with Drew." And Seth continues and then says, "We can all agree that the best place to cash in is SummerSlam when it's going to be Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar in the last man standing match." And Riddle says, "Well, when I get the briefcase, I can just finally beat Roman whenever I want." And Sammy says, "Well, as the honorary Uce in this match, the contract will stay in the House of the Bloodline. As long as I have the contract, Roman will be safe." MVP then calls everybody idiots and says, "Well, you guys aren't even paying attention to the giant in the ring, and the Vegas odds are on Omos." Sheamus then says a whole lot of nothing. Drew then goes to say something, but Miz's music hits, and Drew hilariously says, "The freaking Miz." That was a pretty funny line. 'Cause I was thinking the same thing. Miz says, "Drew, remember when I cashed in on you?" So that was funny. Back right at him for saying freaking Miz. And then he says, "I'm the only two-time Mr. Money in the Bank still in this company. I deserve to be in this match." Ezekiel's music hits. He says he was supposed to be in the qualifier against KO, so I should get a chance. Happy Corbin's music hits. He says nobody's more lucky than me in Las Vegas. Madcap Moss's music hits, and he says the thought of Corbin losing another cash in it would be hysterical, but I want in the match. And Adam Pearce comes out. Adam Pearce is stumbling over his words, and he says, "I want the crew to clear the ring, and there's going to be an good old fashioned battle royal." And wow, so another second battle royal of the week in WWE, a second battle royal tonight. There's a battle royal on Rampage as well. So 3 battle royals this week. What the heck? So when we come back, it's a battle royal with the guys that were already qualified and the guys that interrupted. So I was thinking this was going to be a qualifier or something, but no, it doesn't look like it is because all the guys that are already qualified. So everybody that was in that segment in the beginning is in this battle royal. And this is where Cole tells us KO is physically unable to compete. That's why there was no KO versus Ezekiel match. Drew almost gets Miz out, but Miz gets a rake to the eyes to stay in. Cole says this is a good old fashioned battle royal for like the second or third time. And then Omos throws out Ezekiel and Madcap Moss. So Omos showing that he's doing what Giants do in a battle royal. Throws out Ezekiel and Madcap Moss. So Sammy then shoves Miz over to Omos. Miz gets thrown out. No, Miz didn't get thrown out. Maybe he did. I thought Miz was still in this match for a while though, but I did write that down. Anyway, Drew stares down Omos, but Riddle's already jumps at Omos. So like Drew was staring down Omos, looking like they were gonna fight, but Riddle's already ready to fight Omos. Omos just shoves Riddle away, and Drew strikes Omos. Omos gets the Goozle locked in on Drew, but nobody comes to help Drew. Once Drew's down, then Sheamus comes and tries to hit Omos, but fails. Sammy then goes after Omos and fails. Seth stares at Omos, and they stare at each other for a second, but then Seth just jumps over the top rope, eliminating himself, and goes to leave. But Riddle was on the outside, even though he's not eliminated, and hits an RKO on Seth on the outside. So that definitely is going to be our feud going forward in the summer. One of those are basically your two favorites to win the briefcase, and I could definitely see them feuding, maybe having a match at SummerSlam, even if one of them has the briefcase. Where we already heard Seth say Seth already told us what he wants to do if he wins the briefcase. So even if Seth does have the briefcase and fights Riddle at SummerSlam, then Seth is just gonna like get himself DQ'd or whatever, just like this match, eliminating himself. Anyway, but that's if Seth wins the briefcase. I can see Riddle winning the briefcase. It could be Drew. I mean, WWE, they could always just give it to Omos and make everybody like mad about it. There can't be one person that would be happy with Omos with the briefcase. Anyway, after that RKO, Riddle then gets Omos in a triangle choke on his way back into the ring. So that was pretty cool. Right over the ropes. The rest of the guys throw Omos over the top and eliminating Omos as we go to a break. When we come back, Cole yet again says good old fashioned battle royal. And then I thought I was in a fever dream because then a graphic comes up, and on the graphic it says good old fashioned battle royal. And I'm just like, oh my God, with this branding. Like, why are we branding this the good old fashioned battle royal so much? That's ridiculous. Anyway, we're down to, so it was Miz that got, so when Miz got shoved over the Omos, it was Miz that got thrown out because we're down to Sami Zayn, Drew McIntyre, Happy Corbin, Riddle, and Sheamus. So the crowd's chanting crazy for Riddle at this point. Definitely, there's no McIntyre chance. It's all Riddle chants here. And Riddle has a great fight with Sheamus. I would love to see that match in the future. And then while that's happening, Sammy and Corbin are working over McIntyre. Sheamus then hits Sammy and saves Drew. So that was a little interesting. Corbin then hits a chokeslam backbreaker that looked nice on Riddle. The crowd chants bum ass Corbin, and Pat's loving it on commentary. That is a pretty clever chant for a crowd. Usually you just get some like random stuff, but Sheamus hits the 10 beats of the Bodrum on Sammy. Riddle then hits a bro to sleep. When was the last time we've seen a bro to sleep? It's the go to sleep, obviously. We see a bro to sleep on Sheamus by Riddle. So again, I want to see that match 1-on-1. And then Pat Pat hilariously asks Michael Cole, so what is this battle royal for? And hilariously, Pat also didn't say, so what is this good old fashioned battle royal for? Thank you, Pat, for not saying that. But Cole says this battle royal is for supremacy. That's a nice way of saying it's for nothing. So this is not a qualifier match. Supremacy. Supremacy. Oh my gosh, we need to look up that word in the dictionary. What's the exact definition of supremacy? Anyway, that's just this whole there's something that makes me laugh out loud ironically later. Like for at least 2 minutes straight. I'm not even exaggerating. Anyway, Riddle hits a snap power slam, some more of Orton's moveset. And then right after that, Sheamus eliminates Riddle. So it's not going to be Riddle winning this battle royal for supremacy. Oh, excuse me. Good old fashioned battle royal for supremacy. Riddle's out. Then the crowd boos that big time. They wanted Riddle to win. And I note here that Riddle definitely needs to win like the WWE title from Roman somehow, and then feud with Seth for like the whole summer. Like it sucks that we didn't have the Raw title to do that. Anyway, Sammy goes for a haluva kick on Drew, but right behind Drew was Corbin, and he eats the boot instead. Drew then kips up, and the crowd's cheering for Drew now that Riddle's gone. But I swear they weren't saying one word about McIntyre when Riddle was in the ring. Drew goes for a Claymore on Sammy, but Sheamus comes in with a really big bro kick, but it was like out of nowhere type deal. Really good looking. Sheamus tries another bro kick on Drew, who's on the apron, but misses, gets tied up in the ropes. Drew comes back in, hits 2 belly to bellies on Sheamus. Sammy then dives from like the top rope, but Drew catches him. Sammy then gets slammed to the mat. Future shock DDT on Sheamus. Drew's just going crazy at this point. Sammy then from behind almost threw Drew out, but Drew hits a Claymore on Sammy. Sammy's eliminated. Drew then goes after Sheamus, but Happy Corbin, who we all forgot about because it's easy to forget about Corbin, let me tell you, throws out both members, and this good old-fashioned battle royal for supremacy is won by Happy Corbin. And we'll see what happens later on. But I did write in my notes here, I'm like, oh God, please don't tell me Corbin's in the Money in the Bank. Like, at least give Ezekiel or Madcap a chance. We've seen Corbin do that kind of stuff. Anyway, Cole tells us Corbin won the good old-fashioned battle royal, and Corbin stares down Pat. Don't forget that's going to be a SummerSlam match. Which, who knows? Pat will probably be able to do some good stuff, and he's going to run him down. There's going to be some good promos from Pat coming out of that. But Pat calls Corbin, yeah, you won a battle royal like a snake in the desert. Basically saying he's like, yeah, right, you didn't do much. So then Cole tells us next we'll revisit Ronda and Natalia's confrontation, and I don't know what that means, but it sounds like a boring recap to me, and it is. So anyway, in the back, Corbin is all happy, and he tells Kayla he's farting rainbows. Yes, he's farting rainbows. All right, and then he talks really fast about everyone hating him. Really quick promo here, like quick talking. Kayla then asks about the challenge from Pat McAfee to a match. Happy Corbin just stops what he's doing, looks sad, and the segment just ends. And they and they go back to the announce team where Pat calls him a bum. So that was awkward. Anyway, now we get a big video package. It starts about Ronda Rousey in general, then goes into how Natalia's the next challenger. It showed Natty last week dressed as Ronda. I'm still really mad that Natty didn't like really dig in the Ronda by talking like this, and I'm Ronda Rousey, and then my mom told me, and Like if Natalia did that, it would have made the whole segment last week way better. But she didn't, and it was still a decent segment, I guess. But we see a bunch of people tapping out the sharpshooters all in a row, like from Natalia's history, and they show most of what happened last week with intense music behind it. So now in the back, Megan, the announce girl woman, is with Natalia. Natty says, all Rhonda has is left is talk, and she can see. So she didn't rip into her promo ability last week, but Natty does here by saying she can see why Hollywood isn't knocking on Ronda Rousey's door anymore. I like that line. And then even Pat McAfee makes a noise like like that or whatever. Like he almost busted out laughing. Because Pat McAfee knows it's true. We all know it's true. Everyone knows it's true. That Ronda Rousey goes out there and with no passion in her promos, like she would rather be anywhere else in the entire world. It's like a meme at this point. Anyway, Natty has a really good go home promo here to promote a match. Good old school. Like Natty's been watching these promos for her entire life about how to sell a match. Great solid stuff, but nothing noteworthy. So I didn't even take notes. It's your I'll beat you at tomorrow and I win the title. But it was like really well done, just nothing noteworthy. Anyway, the New Day's music now hits. The crowd's going wild, so they love themselves some New Day. Kofi and Xavier come out dancing. Cole says the New Day has revenge on the mind. And I completely forgotten this happened, but we see a recap of New Day dancing with Shanky and then the Viking Raiders returning as heels. And we're getting close to the part that made me unironically laugh for about 2 minutes straight. We're almost there, but yeah, the Viking Raiders returned as heel last week with a little more fur and a little more makeup and more aggressive, and they took out the New Day and Shanky, I think. But they didn't really make a big deal about Shanky getting beat up. Anyway, the New Day's mad after they see the recap. So I like that the New Day like actually acknowledges that they see what we see on the big board, you know. And then Xavier's asking, why did they do that to us? As we go to an ad break. So good stuff from the New Day, just little ad libbing. Always makes things enjoyable. When we come back, both the New Day have microphones and they make a Jew lying joke, like it was a Jew. No, you gotta be Jew lying. It wasn't funny. Kofi says they are guys that who make sure you got. We are the guys who make sure you have a good time. So we gave you Dancing Shanky last week, and it was a great time until the Viking Raiders ruined it. And Xavier really gets the crowd to boo super loud, like the loudest boos of the night, because Xavier got him to boo this. And Kofi says that they are a new vicious and dangerous version of Viking Raiders. Keep that in mind. But Xavier makes a nice Darkwing Duck joke about let's get dangerous real quick, and then the Viking horn hits. So here it comes. It's about to happen where I laugh for 2 minutes straight. But Pat puts over just before that, Pat really does a good job of putting over, like, hearing that Viking horn sound means like trouble is gonna happen. Like it gives me an uneasy feeling. So that part was really good. Good job by Pat. But then they ruined the whole freaking thing, bro, because now I'm laughing for 2 minutes straight because, oh my gosh. So the Viking Raiders come out and they've got new shields and stuff. That's cool and all. They've got their fur and their new makeup. But here's what happens. The announcer woman goes, coming down the aisle, the new vicious Viking Raiders. And I'm like, no, they didn't. The new vicious Viking Raiders, like as a name, you got to be kidding me. I get a Seth freaking Rollins here and there and stuff like that, but the new vicious Viking Raiders as a like name, you've got to be kidding me. Dead on arrival. How is that ever gonna get over? Oh my gosh. But I literally laughed for 2 minutes straight. Anyway, they have giant Viking shields now, and they just running right into the ring, beat up the New Day with their shields. And Pat says, oh, these shields are being used by the new vicious Viking Raiders. Then they hit a massive double power bomb on Kofi. The crowd really big boos this on this, and Pat says there will be no match, obviously. So Pat says there's no match, and the new vicious Viking Raiders take out the New Day. Terrible stuff. What is with the branding tonight? The good old fashioned battle royal and the new vicious Viking Raiders, and there was something else too. Maybe it happens later. In the back, Miz, Ezekiel, Madcap Moss, and Happy Corbin are all arguing with Adam Pierce, and they all yell about why they should be in there. But this part I did not like. They have Madcap Moss says, "Well, I'm just happy to be here," which is just like, okay, I get it, and it might even be a play off of Happy Corbin's name, but that's just like the worst thing to freaking say, man. Especially with who wins later. So I did not like that at all that they had Madcap Moss say that. Anyway, Pierce says it's later on, it's going to be in the main event, a fatal four-way match. And between those four, so Miz, Ezekiel, Madcap Moss, and Happy Corbin in a fatal four-way match in the main event. And wow, really think about this for a second. This means in a what Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. In a 5-day span, we have to watch 4 Miz matches. Are you kidding me? We've never liked Miz matches in our life. We like his promos and stuff like that. But at this point, we've had no joke. We've had over 20, 25 maybe Miz TV segments this year. We're at the exact halfway point of the year, which means we're at like almost a 1 per week Miz TV ratio, and now we're getting 4 Miz matches in 1 week, and we might see him at Money in the Bank, who knows? So the week's not even over. Anyway, we go back to the arena, all of a sudden, Asuka's music hits, so here we go. Cole tells us it's gonna be a 6-women tag match with all of the ladder match participants except Becky Lynch. So Becky Lynch is gonna be on commentary for this match. And they rush super fast through Asuka, Liv, and Alexa's entrances. Alexa gets her entrance played a little bit more, but Liv literally got like um maybe like 20 seconds of her, or not 20, but like 10, not even that, 5. Anyway, that's going to be next. They're going to fight Raquel, Lacey Evans, and Shotzi. And this is a Raw versus SmackDown match, oddly enough. So a little Survivor Series style. Not the elimination part, but you know what I mean. We go to ad break. When we come back, all 3 of the SmackDown women are about to enter the ring to Raquel's music. And now Becky's music hits. She comes out looking a little weird, like weird glasses this week. Um, she's all happy, so she's just loving life after winning that battle royal, or the excuse me, the 6-way match on the main event of Raw. And she says that she has to sit this one after all I've been through the qualifiers. So she tells the other 6 women, uh, I don't want them to I'm not going to let them take me out. Instead, I'll be on commentary. And then hilariously tells the women, entertain me, entertain me. So Shotzi and Asuka are going to start the match. Pretty cool here. I don't think we've ever seen them in the ring together. Asuka tries 2 spinning back fists and a spinning back heel right away, and that scares Shotzi out of the ring. So Lacey Evans comes in, and Cole. Okay, so just like Monday in the Alexa versus Liv match, Cole is just completely not calling the action in the match whatsoever. If you remember on Monday, it was that super cringe where they just kept asking Asuka stuff. But this time it was Cole interviewing Becky while they're calling the match. And I'll talk about that a little bit more as we go. But he's not really calling the action. It's mostly just, but this is what was actually interesting, unlike the awkward stuff with Asuka on Raw. Anyway, Asuka fights with Raquel now, who then tags in Alexa. Big cheers for Alexa. And the more Raquel smiles, the more I dislike her. It's just so awkward. Cole now talks to Becky as if he was her therapist. So this is a big point here. It might just be that Cole really, really in real life and likes Becky Lynch and treats her like a daughter. Like he almost talked to her as if a father would, or as if like a therapist would. It was kind of weird, but it was also kind of interesting. Like in all the 20 years we've heard Cole on commentary, he's never sounded like this before, ever. So if you missed this, go watch this match just to hear how weirdly Cole was like talking to Becky Lynch about like trying to help her through her problems, like a therapist would almost. So that was really, really interesting. And then Pat McAfee's interaction with Becky was also pretty funny. So um again, it's not great to take all the shine off of the match that was in the ring, but we get to see all these women tomorrow night in the Money in the Bank match. So it's almost like a little bit of here's all the women, and this is a little preview, but we're gonna distract you with this Becky stuff so that you don't really like the preview isn't gonna spoil what you see tomorrow night, which maybe that's what they were thinking. I like it if that's what they were thinking. And Liv's now in even bigger cheers. So I think Liv got the bigger cheers. Well, it was probably close. Her and Alexa definitely close on the cheers. Raquel then knocks down Liv, so Shotzi tags in now that Liv is down. Shotzi works over Liv while commentary only focuses on Becky. Somehow Lacey and Shotzi are now arguing on the outside. And oh my gosh, Liv tries to go through the middle ropes on a dive like a tope suicida. Oh, Liv hit like her foot or got her foot caught on the middle rope or her knee or something and fell right on her face. Oh no. Shotzi immediately goes and asks if because they couldn't catch her at that point. Shotzi and Lacey were supposed to catch Liv Morgan here, but Liv got caught on the ropes and they couldn't catch her. Liv hit face first. Hopefully she's okay and can pass any concussion protocols and be in the match tomorrow, because I know a lot of people want Liv Morgan to win. I'm not one of them, but I know a lot of people do, and hopefully she can pass any concussion protocol because that looked a little nasty. Anyway, Raquel then wait, no, so yes, that was really botched, but Liv is grabbing her knee a little bit, but it looks like she was all right throughout the rest of the match. Alexa then hits a flipping seated senton off the apron to the outside on Raquel. Shotzi was even holding her knee at this point, so I'm like, oh my gosh, what are you guys doing with having them do all these dives right 24 hours before Money in the Bank? But everybody seemed fine when we come back from ad break. We go to ad break with Team Raw. That's Asuka, Alexa, and Liv all hugging it out in the ring. When we come back, Alexa and Raquel are now fighting in the ring and everything is settled down. Alexa dominates Raquel, so that was a little interesting, definitely with the size difference too. But until Raquel then catches Alexa off the top rope, I think it was, Shotzi then tags in again, and Raquel's getting a little mad this time. Second time that Shotzi tagged in on Raquel when Raquel got the person down. Shotzi hits a buckle suplex on Alexa to her knee, and then again, it's like, quit going after the knees and everyone holding their knee in this match. You're getting me worried about tomorrow. Anyway, we get a really good counter wrestling for just a little tiny bit, but that's the exact kind of wrestling I love. Good counter attack wrestling or counter after counter after counter. Then then Shotzi gets a really high angle Boston Crab after those counters. Asuka comes in and I noticed she's got like a really new or a really cool looking, I think it's new orange and black outfit or gear. Asuka then puts the ankle lock on Shotzi, and then hits a German suplex. Shotzi's in trouble at this point. Everyone comes in, hits their finishers. You know how that goes in these multi-man tags. And Shotzi thinks she's all alone. She kind of celebrates, but Liv hits her Oblivion finisher for the win. She hit it pretty smoothly. It looked really good. And Team Raw wins the match. The crowd goes wild, and Becky out of nowhere hits the manhandle slam on Asuka. Liv and Alexa are just like, huh? Are you kidding me? And Cole starts yelling like, come on. Pretty funny. I like it. It was a good segment overall. I hope Liv's not on concussion protocol. But I was a little mad when it started and then when it was so focused on Becky, but the Becky stuff with Cole, like I said, I've never heard Cole sound like that on commentary ever in the 20 years he's been in WWE. He was really talking to Becky like a therapist, like trying to, it was way more like real than those stupid Alexa Bliss with the therapist segments. It was like actual therapy. So go and watch that if you haven't seen this. Like Cole tries to give therapy to Becky. So now we're in the back. Out of a sudden, again, another segment I forgot ever happened last week. It was Sonya Deville walking into Adam Pearce's office, and she says, uh, what Adam did last week was wrong and he knows it's wrong. And what if you forgot, like I did, Sonya Deville said, oh, I'm on the SmackDown roster. You didn't even put me in any matches. And even Cole was like, I didn't know she was on the SmackDown roster. So Sonya Deville's on the SmackDown roster and got put in the handicap match last week by Adam Pearce. So Sonya says she's formed a formal complaint. Adam Pearce says he knows. And then Sonya says, "Well, you know what you did is wrong, and I know what I'm about to do is wrong too," and then slaps the taste out of Adam Pearce's mouth and leaves. So who knows where that's going to go? I'm not that interested, but we'll see where it goes. Now back in the arena, the Usos music hits, and I'm like, "Uh-oh, are we going to get for a fourth time another singles match?" But thank goodness we didn't. Cole makes fun of the Knicks for no reason, or at least I didn't see a reason. That was funny. Usos are now at 347 days as SmackDown champions, and the crowd cheers a little bit more than they boo for the Usos. So and then, oh my gosh, what's going on tonight, especially with the branding? So up next, we are told it is the Usos, not verse, but and the Street Profits in an ask them anything segment, and we go to ad break. I'm like, what the heck? What is this even gonna be? So when we come back, the Street Profits are in the ring with the Usos. They've got a black carpet on the ring. There's 3 podiums set up. Kayla's on the middle podium, and Kayla asks. So I guess it's just a questionnaire segment, but it ended up being not too bad because they weirdly brought up some weird topics. So let's get into this. Kayla asked the Usos, "How fearful are you of losing your titles, and are you even more fearful of how Roman Reigns would react to that?" Usos were like offended, of course, and they're like, "We fear nothing. The Bloodline's running all the shows." Then the Prophets, pretty funny, make fun of the Usos here and say like, "Oh, you mean Roman runs the shows? You just run to the store." Uh, When I say it here, it sounds freaking terrible, but it wasn't that bad. Anyway, Kayla says it's been a year and a half since the Prophets have been champions. Did you lose your killer instinct? And are you two not getting along? So the Prophets say we've still got the killer instinct and we're getting along just fine. They put over the whole Samoan dynasty and the Anawahi family and all that, but they say the Street Profits will win the titles tomorrow night. So Jay now gets a little bit closer. Kayla runs away, and Jay says to watch what he says about our family. Jay then says the Prophets are a little similar to the Usos. You walk like we walk, you talk like we talk, but you ain't us. You ain't the Usos. You never will be the Usos. And then they each use each other's catchphrase. So the Usos say, "We got the smoke," and the Prophets say, "We the ones." Crowd goes crazy for that. And I go crazy for this next segment. So there was a few things that like I unironically laughed at the oh god, what is it? The new vicious Viking Raiders. But man, I've been waiting a month for this maximum male models thing. And I know that sounds really weird because like it's just gonna be these heel models and what how cool could it be? But here's the thing: if you know who Max Dupree is, if you know who LA Knight is, if you know who Eli Drake is, you know this man is just as funny and witty as Kevin Owens. So just picture like a Kevin Owens type character, and we got to see it tonight. It actually happened. So after 3 weeks of teasing us and saying it was going to be this week debuting, it actually happened. So in the back, we see Max Dupree all up in Adam Pearce's face, and he's wearing really bad, weird-looking red glasses. Max is. And yes, finally, Max says he is ready to unveil his maximum male models to the world, and it will be next. So we go to an ad break. They introduce Max Dupree, and a spotlight goes in the ring on Max, and he tells us the maximum male. He basically gives us a rundown of what the maximum male models are all about. This gets the what treatment from the crowd, which is not great. But then anyway, Max Dupree says, "Well, you may have known him as Mace, but I want you to meet Masay." And then, oh my gosh, it's so Mace comes out. First of all, the spelling is exactly the same. It's still Mace, but the C and the E have like accents on them, and it's Masay. And I think it's a funny joke. We'll see if it's still funny in a couple weeks. But Max then hilariously narrates Massey showing off his fashion on the runway. Max is hilarious. You need to go watch this segment. I can't do it justice. I didn't even try to write down what Max was saying, but I'm telling you, if you don't know who LA Knight is, if you don't know who Eli Drake is, Max Dupree is those guys, and he is amazing. So, um, he's basically like witty, like a KO, like quick on his feet, like KO is. And if they give him the ability to kind of ad lib on some of these, which I think Max Dupree was kind of ad libbing on these, like, oh, he's wearing this from this and that, and it was just really funny. So then Marseille leaves, and Max introduced us to, well, you might have known him as Mansoor, but I want you to meet Mansoir. And again, it's spelled the exact same, but there's accents on some of the letters. And wow, Mansoir looks jacked. He looks like he's been putting on some muscle. And again, hilarious narration by Max Dupree. I'm probably gonna watch this segment again on YouTube. It was that funny. I loved everything that Max Dupree was saying. I love this, and thank God that Pat McAfee was here and on commentary to put this over in like a not completely cringe way. Can you imagine if Michael Cole was the one that was supposed to put this over and say how cool this was? But meanwhile, Pat was like, "Oh, can you believe the? Oh my God, can you look at that?" Like, but if it was Michael Cole having to do that, then it would have fucking sank like a stone in the water. But I think it could work with Pat putting it over like that. We'll have to wait and see. And but I think if they give Max Dupree the microphone every time, it could work. As far as Mason Mansour, or what is it? Oh God, Marseille and Mansoir. That's gonna be a new tag team on SmackDown going forward, and I think they're heels, but they could be faces. They might be taking over the Viking Raiders spot on the face roster. But another one that are like, I don't know if they could be heel right now. They're heels, they're Los Lotharios, but they could be faces at any point too. So, but that's just a natural rivalry, like lethal Latin lovers, Los Lotharios versus Maximum Male Models. So anyway, if you're not into this segment, I'll move on. But if you're into it, go watch that segment again on YouTube. In the back, Megan, the announce girl woman, is with Rhonda now, and I'm like, oh. But Rhonda talks super fast here. She's talking like this, and I'm really talking like this. It had a little more emotion than usual because she was talking so fast. But she basically says nothing. She says Natalia got her baby's age wrong. It's really 9 months. It's not 10. And then I'll make you tap out tomorrow, Natty. And it was super quick promo, so thank God. Now the Miz is out, and we got the main event 4-way qualifier next. Madcap comes out before we go to ad break. The good cheers. When we come back from the break, we are told next week Maximum Male Models, baby, they're back, and they will debut the 2022 tennis wear collection. And I'm telling you, it sounds worse than it is. It's only good because Eli Drake slash Max Dupree is so good at his job. Anyway, Ezekiel comes out, and then Happy Corbin, and then they run down the entire Money in the Bank card. But I noticed that they like seemingly chose Happy Corbin to come out last year because they had Corbin's music blasting in the background while they did the rundown of the Money in the Bank, and out of every wrestler on the roster, Happy Corbin's music fits like the Money in the Bank perfectly. It even has like cha-ching sounds in Happy Corbin's music. So whoever thought of that in the back, like that couldn't have been a coincidence. And whoever thought of that deserves a raise. Anyway, this is going to be a fatal 4-way, so no disqualifications, of course. Winner gets the last spot in the Money in the Bank. Madcap starts with a nice big shoulder block to Corbin. Remember, they've been rivals for a long time now. Miz takes out Moss. Corbin and Miz work together for about 5 seconds before Corbin turns on Miz. But it was a really nice lariat that he hit Miz with to turn on him. So I like that. Miz tried to do a dive to the outside, like the diving drop kick, but he misses. Corbin then drops Miz back first on the apron. Corbin choke slams Ezekiel on the announce table, and we only get about 2 minutes of action before we go to the break. It only seems like that happens a lot, but it only seems worse when you have a couple guys come out. Like I know, like before those guys came out and we went to ad break, there was a whole bunch of stuff, like the Max Dupree stuff and Ronda, but it just makes it seem like the same thing happened to me in the Roman Reigns versus Riddle match, where I didn't rate that match very high, but that's because my mind can't, and I, even if I'm able to skip through the commercials and fast forward them, my mind can't get around like when you have them come out and then you go to a commercial and then you have 2 minutes of fighting and then you go to a commercial, as opposed to just going to a commercial, then having the entrances and 2 minutes of fighting and then going. I guess it could be different for everybody, but that's how I find it in my mind. So anyway, that was our last commercial break. And Miz is battling Moss when we come back. During the break, there was a tower spot, which I'm glad it happened during the break. If I'm the kind of guy, if I've seen one tower spot, I've seen them all. But Corbin was on the bottom of that one. Moss then uses his speed and explosiveness to take out Miz. That's one thing about Madcap Moss, and is when he's got really really good explosive speed, almost like a Goldberg used to in his prime. Definitely doesn't have Goldberg's size, but he has the explosiveness. Corbin takes out Moss from behind. Moss then slingshots Miz into Corbin's yam bags. If you don't know what that is, it's I would have thought it would have been the other way around since we talk about Miz's balls every freaking week on Raw. But yeah, Miz goes into Corbin's balls. Then Moss hits the punchline, which is his finisher on Corbin, but Zeke comes in and breaks it up. Moss hits a fall away slam on Zeke. Miz right after that hits Moss with the psycho knee. Daniel Bryan's rolling in his grave, then he's not even dead yet. And then we get it kicks, but Corbin is back in, hits the deep six on Miz. Miz is able to kick out. Like the deep six always gets kicked out of. So what? It's such a good looking move too. Like he should beat someone. I'm not saying right here he should have won, but because I didn't want Corbin in the damn Money in the Bank, but like a deep six should beat someone every now and then, just so you don't think like, so you actually buy it as a move that they might not kick out of. Anyway, Zeke takes out Corbin and then a stinger splash on Miz and Moss. So Zeke's just going crazy. Corbin then eats a knee lift from Zeke. He looks like he might win the match. I was thinking maybe he will. He was the one in the match with KO to begin with. But then Zeke gets hit with the skull crushing finale. Corbin just barely able to break it up, and I thought it was over. I thought it was Miz going to Money in the Bank. I thought we were getting a fifth Miz match in a 6-day span, but nope. Um, Corbin just barely breaks it up. Corbin then looks over at Pat and hits Ezekiel with the end of days, but Madcap Moss is able to throw Corbin out of the way and pins Ezekiel for the 1-2-3. Madcap Moss will get his chance to shine at Money in the Bank tomorrow night, a spot that was probably going to go to Kevin Owens. And so we'll see. Maybe history will be rewritten, and maybe they'll decide out of, because you know how they love to change their minds last second. So it literally could be Madcap Moss winning the title in a match. Or, I mean, or yeah, maybe this whole trickle. That's what I love about wrestling. Remember, like, it would happen bad way for Big E and Seth Rollins, but the trickle down effect of Roman Reigns getting COVID at day one, and then Brock Lesnar had to be in the match and win, and stuff like that. So maybe a trickle down effect will happen. Maybe Madcap Moss will win the title before 2022 is over with. Who knows? But anyway, your final competitors in the men's Money in the Bank are Seth Rollins, Omos, Sami Zayn, Riddle, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, and Madcap Moss. Take your pick. Everybody's favorite to win is definitely Seth. It would set up maybe Seth doing another triple threat at a big event, but I would assume if Seth wins, he would wait till that last man standing match is over and then cash it in. He's already done the triple threat thing. Plus, what the heck happens in a triple threat match that's last man standing? It would have to it would just eliminate the last man standing part of the rules, and then the crowd would be confused. So I don't see that happening, but I do think Seth is the favorite to win. Riddle is probably the one that should win it. They could give it to McIntyre, and it would give McIntyre an excuse because McIntyre is basically already slotted in for the Clash at the Castle in the UK pay-per-view in September. So you could give it to McIntyre, but he's just give him that match some other way. And then you could give it to Seth, and then he wins the title, and then he has to feud with Cody when Cody comes back. We could get a WrestleMania rematch, and does that mean Seth would have to lose 4 matches in a row to Cody? But in the meantime, Seth might have a nice title run. or like I said, they could give it to Omos. They love just giving it to like a giant and stuff like that. Remember when Kane won the briefcase? So stuff like that could happen. Sheamus, I doubt, but I mean, I'd prefer Sheamus over Omos at this point, that's for sure. And then Madcap Moss, that'd be the most shocking one, but sometimes WWE likes most shocking. So let's just quickly oh the la- I didn't finish SmackDown. So the last thing we see on SmackDown is Pat yelling at Corbin, and I couldn't believe this. This episode of SmackDown had me rolling. Pat yells over at Corbin, "You want a good old fashioned battle royal for nothing, you bum!" And then Pat laughs as SmackDown ends. So I can't believe the how many times we had to hear the words "good old fashioned battle royal" tonight. And then I couldn't believe the what was it? Oh, the new vicious Viking Raiders. And then I also couldn't believe coming up next, Ask Us Anything, Street Profits versus Usos. I'm like, what is going on tonight? And then and then Cole being the therapist for Becky. So whoever wrote this episode was definitely on something tonight. They're just having fun. They're already over in Vegas. They're already chilling in Vegas, writing the show all drunk from the casinos and sending it through the internet. But man, that's pretty funny. Let's just look at the women's one real quick. Like I said earlier, it's mostly Liv that people want. I know Alexis has plenty of her fans, and I know Becky still has a lot of her fans. Becky's probably the favorite to win it, and then we could have. I mean, I've heard rumors, or not really rumors, but a lot of people saying, well, then we could have the power couple, Seth and Becky, and and I mean, everybody's pretty much noticed that Seth and Becky have the exact same gimmick and personality right now. Like, you'd have to be dumb not to see that. So it would make sense, and it would be like a cool gimmick. I could, if it's me, I mean, not if it's me, just if I had to place a bet and I wanted to make some money, knowing the way WWE works, I think WWE probably has a good chance of giving the briefcase to Lacey Evans. I just think they really like Lacey Evans and her whole she could be the next John Cena for the troops and the sick kids and all that BS. So that I know that's going to be unpopular. I would hate that. If it's me, if I'm Vince McMahon, I give the briefcase to Shotzi, and then I have Shotzi beat Ronda Rousey through like catching in after Ronda's already beaten up, and then we can go from there. I think well Ronda Rousey's much better when she's chasing the title, and I think Shotzi would be great fun as a heel champion that runs away from everybody. Eventually, you could tell the story of like maybe she Shotzi beats Ronda once by like cheating and running away. And then you could have Ronda tell Shotzi, well, why don't you just man up or woman up or just fight me one on one, and then you could have Shotzi potentially beat Ronda straight up one on one, turning Shotzi face, making a new star in the process. Maybe you have a new tag team if you want to revive the tag team division that's completely dead. I don't think we're ever going to see the women's tag titles back, by the way. But yeah, I think Shotzi, who's who I would give it to, but Shotzi's not going to win it. But if you've never seen Shotzi in one of these kind of hardcore or ladder matches, I do kind of fear for Shotzi's well-being tomorrow because she's going to do some crazy Jeff Hardy type, Darby Allin type dives from the top of the ladder and stuff like that. Raquel, they were high on Raquel, and then they just fed her to the lion known as Ronda as soon as they ran out of opponents for Ronda, and Ronda beat her in a free TV and without much trouble. Um, I like Raquel, but I hate that she's Smiley Raquel now. I hate that um she used to have a bunch of sharp edges, kind of like Rhea Ripley, but they've taken down they've gotten rid of all of Raquel Rodriguez's sharp edges and just when was the last time we even heard her have a promo? And does she even have a character? Does she tell us anything? We know she's from Texas. She has the Tejano bomb. If you never watched NXT, which even if you did watch NXT, Raquel's nothing like she was in NXT. It's almost like a whole new person. But anyway, you wouldn't even know like what her gimmick is or anything. So that one would be a little weird. So I think Lacey, who they have a well-established gimmick, she's for the troops, she's for USA. She had all these hard things. So I think Lacey Evans is probably gonna win if it's not Becky. Becky's probably still the favorite. You could give it to Asuka. Asuka's a good choice at any point. But me personally, I hate the current version of Asuka that we have. The current version of Asuka reminds me more of the old wrestler Eugene than the old Asuka I love and know. So Eugene was never going to be a world champion, and I don't think this version of Asuka should ever be world champion either. So I wish Bailey was in this match. That's for damn sure. I wish Bailey was in this match and she was the one winning the title. I hopefully Bailey comes back soon because man, I miss Bailey. But yeah, we the two don't. So I assume that the women's Money in the Bank ladder match is going to be the one to start Money in the Bank pay per view, and then you've got later on in the night two women's title matches. So whoever does win this ladder match is going to have two different opportunities because I'm pretty sure they can just choose whichever champion they want. So it's going to be an interesting pay per view. So we don't know who's going to win this women's briefcase, but there is two women's title matches later on in the night, and both of those women's title matches are kind of like layups. Not to disparage Natalia and Carmella, but there's like almost no way Bianca and Ronda's going to lose their titles to them, but they could lose their titles to a cash in. So that's something to look out for. I almost guarantee you we're going to start with the women's Money in the Bank so that we can have two different women's title matches where we're like, is someone going to come out and cash in and stuff like that. So maybe we'll get through the whole night without a cash in, maybe not. Like I said, I'd rather see Ronda be the chaser as opposed to the champion. And you could pretty much use any of these women. So seeing that both women are faces currently, that does kind of lend you. So maybe Lacey Evans wouldn't win the briefcase unless Lacey just keeps the briefcase and maybe challenges one of the two to a match straight up at SummerSlam. That's a possibility. Like maybe Lacey Evans versus Ronda Rousey at SummerSlam, and she just does it like that. Otherwise, you just got to look at the heels. So your options for the heels in this match are Shotzi, Becky, and is that it? I mean, if Alexa doesn't have her Lily doll with her, she turns into a heel, and that's something you could think of. And we might get Lily story. I mean, think of how little they've done with Alexa's story ever since she's come back. She's been the most boring, bland character that just smiles and is happy to be there, like Madcap Moss said earlier. Like, so where we left off with the therapist with Alexa Bliss is when the Lily doll's there, she's all good. But remember, when the first time from that point on, she didn't have the Lily doll, and it was in Saudi Arabia, and she was the evil is mine version with the heel stuff. But ever since then, she's had Lily with her, and now she's a face. So, Alexa could win the briefcase, and maybe we could start fleshing out that story a little bit more. You know how WWE doesn't really necessarily like to tell stories unless there's a title involved. And then the story's only, I want the title. No, I want to keep my title. But we really need to start fleshing out this Alexa Bliss storyline because she's the most boring character of all time right now. What is her character? She has new music that says "Stand Up, Shut Up," and she says that Liv Morgan isn't her friend. And we found out Alexa said she has no friends in the locker room, so we did find out that bit of story. So her only friend is her doll Lily. But I mean, is anybody else a heel in this match? So you got Raquel, Lacey, Becky, Asuka. I mean, is it just going to be Liv? Am I overthinking it? Is it just going to be Liv? That's what everybody wants. And well, Liv stood tall. Usually, when you stand tall right before the big match, you don't get the title win, or in this case, the briefcase win. I feel like I'm missing somebody in this match. Let me read through it. Raquel, Lacey, Shotzi, Asuka, Becky, Liv, Alexa. I swear I'm missing somebody. Maybe I'm not. Is it? I mean, it could be Asuka. I guess the beauty of this one is, or I mean, that's why. Really, this is almost Money in the Bank has become almost as good as Royal Rumble, if not better, because when it comes to Royal Rumble, there's only a few choices it could be because it's a how grandiose the main event of. Like, you would never have a Madcap Moss go to the main event of WrestleMania with his current gimmick, but I could see Madcap Moss get the briefcase. Like last year, we saw Nikki ASH get the briefcase. Oh, hey, what's up, bro? Who do you think's gonna win the briefcases? Because I'm trying to rack my brain on this women's one. I guess the easy answer is Liv. Or no, the easy answer is Becky. The fans want Liv, and I want Shotzi, and I think WWE would prefer Lacey, but they don't. I don't think they're gonna pull the trigger. But they want Lacey to be a big star. But Asuka, I don't think has a chance. Alexa probably not a chance unless they want to finally go with her story. And I don't think Raquel has a chance. They fed Raquel to Ronda immediately and just had her lose. So that told us everything we need to know. As far as the men, I mean, like, don't give it to Drew. That's too much of an obvious. Just get Drew his title shot at Clash at the Castle. Um, are there any other title matches? So we got the tag titles. I assume the Usos are gonna keep the titles, but are the Street Profits gonna win? How many times can the Street Profits lose title matches? With Miz or Seth Rollins? Yeah, it's probably gonna be Seth. I would assume it'll be Seth. Good morning to you too as well. It's about to hit midnight here soon for me, but um good morning to you. And so I think probably, I mean, Usos will probably retain, but then Street Profits are just looking like trash again. So I don't know. And then I don't think I don't think Gunther has a match, does he? But we do have a US title match. It's Bobby Lashley versus Theory. Now, it would be pretty bad for Theory to lose the title here, but also Lashley is like, I think Lashley's more popular with the fans than Drew McIntyre is. The only person There's only two people more popular with the crowd right now than Lashley. One of them's injured, his name's Cody Rhodes, and the other one's Matt Riddle. So I think Lashley could win the US title, or is that just garbage because nobody treats the US title with respect anyway? Oh, you think the Usos will win? Yeah, I think the Usos will win too, but then what do you do with the Profits, man? Or actually, I already know what you do with the Profits. They're gonna have Montez Ford turn on or on get turned. They're gonna have they're gonna break up, aren't they? The Street Profits, and I think Montez Ford is gonna be a big star. So I think this could. They even teased that tonight on SmackDown by in the little questionnaire they did. They were like, "Are you guys getting along?" They asked the Street Profits. So I think, yeah, you're right. The Usos are gonna win, and the Street Profits are gonna break up pretty soon. Which, I mean, they had a pretty good run, but let's see what Montez can do on his own. I hope they keep Montez the face and Angelo the heel, but maybe they'll go the other route. I have a feeling they will, but I wish they would do it the other way. Is there any other big matches that we're forgetting about? I could pull up the card real quick. I'm looking forward to it though. Yeah, I'll be back here tomorrow night to cover it. All right, let's see if we're missing any matches tomorrow. We got Bianca versus Carmella for the Raw Women's title, the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, the SmackDown Women's title, Ronda versus Natty. We got the Men's Money in the Bank ladder match, the Usos versus the Street Profits, and Theory versus Lashley. So, nope, we didn't miss any, and that's pretty cool. All the matches are either for a briefcase or for a title. And yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I do think that we're never going to see those women's tag titles ever again. I think that's it. But yeah, I'll be back tomorrow night. But if you guys care about NXT Level Up, I'm going to end this stream and start another stream about NXT Level Up. If you don't, I'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully, and enjoy your night. So I appreciate everybody that tuned in.
Oh yeah, the Beast, yeah, bro. Um, he could definitely. Oh yeah, the Usos, definitely a great tag team. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. If you guys care about NXT Level Up, I'm gonna start that stream now. So, again, thanks for tuning in. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you again soon.